Good afternoon, everyone. Obviously, going back and looking at the film from Saturday, we didn't play as well as we need to and capable of offensively, and we've got to correct some things and do a little bit better, much better job in a number of phases, but especially on first down to give us an opportunity to create some third and shorts. I thought defense played really well, especially once we got into the plus territory. And, I know that we willed our way to that victory, not playing our best football, which told me an awful lot about the character of our guys. A couple things happened in there with guys that have been in our program an awful long time, making big-time plays on defense. And then, we had a drive in the fourth quarter when we needed to have a drive and had 2 fourth-down conversions. I thought Oak came up big on a play. I thought Joe Jackson came up big on a play. And so all that being said, not playing to our capabilities and best football, we found a way to win, and that's what we had to do. But we got to turn the page fast because we have a really good opponent at their place. And, we watched the film yesterday morning or early afternoon and then flipped it quickly because this is going to be a really difficult environment to play in and a really good team.
What does Utah do so well that gives you concern?
Well, offensively, I think offensive line is as good as offensive line in the Big 12. Plus, you throw in tight ends that can play as O-linemen. They're running the football at will against people, and a lot of different guys carrying the football, quarterbacks, different running backs, wide receivers, so they keep you off balance because there's the amount of different runs that they have, and they control the clock, keep it away from your offense. Then on defense, you kind of know what you're going to get. They're going to come after you and play a lot of man coverage, do a really good job up front, and so for us, we've got to be able to manufacture drives. We've got to be able to stay on the field. I mean, the normal things of staying on the field and getting off the field. But we've got to be really good in the red zone, and we've got to be really good on the road of taking care of the football.
What's your receiver room look like right now?
Well, we think we're going to get Jerron Bradley back this week, which will help us a bunch. So if we can get Jerron back, he should practice either today or tomorrow. Still have Tibbs, still have Sterling, still have Adonis. We can getting Jerron back will help us kind of stay the course there. But obviously we lose a really explosive player with Jace done for the year. We'll lose him as an explosive player. So it's going to be probably not as many explosive plays without Jace, but hopefully still a really efficient wide receiver group.
This environment's kind of been famous for a while. Does it remind you of, coming from the Pac-12, of more like a Big 12 environment?
Of where we're going? Yes. I've never been there.
You've heard about it, right?
Yeah. I've talked to a few coaches and that have said it's one of the best, if not the best environment in the Big 12. So what a great challenge for our guys to have to go out and play in that and get the opportunity to go out and play. They're a top 12, 13. They're right on that cusp of the CFP. So it's going to be a big challenge. But I look forward to it. I think maybe this is a challenge that comes at the right time. After coming off a disappointing performance offensively, but winning the game, that maybe we can go carefree and just go and play really good football.
Chris, how creative do you think Matt and everybody on offense will have to be this week when you are down so many playmakers?
I think there's kind of twofold on that. Yes, some creativity, but also some, hey, we got to go back to the basics and be able to play some downhill run game and realize that maybe, getting us 3 yards, getting us 4 yards, and getting into 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3, where then Avery becomes a bigger factor running the football and throwing the football. Sometimes when you have everybody and you misfire on something and you're 2nd and 10, it puts you behind the sticks the whole time. We've got to do some really good things to be into 2nd and 5. And so I know that we're going through some stuff and we're talking up there. I've been a part of a few of the conversations about how we can be creative. But in the same respect, you're going to have to be able to block these guys, and it's going to be a challenge. So we've got to play our best at tight end and O-line and even some of the wide receivers on the perimeter with their blocking too.
Do you think Lincoln is at a spot where he can contribute more in the passing game?
Yeah, without a doubt. I thought he came up with a big play and a big catch on Saturday, but as we continue to spoon feed him, and I know it's game 11 and it's like, how much are you spoon feeding? Well, he missed all of fall camp, and I still go back to that. You missed that much time. He played 8-man football. You're still learning the 11-man game, and with our offense, we've got to be simple yet creative, because you want to make sure that we don't overload him as well. But no, he's been a factor. He's got to continue to be a factor for us.
Yeah, I think Lincoln's going to be in here today, and Coach, I'm just curious. He did come in there injured, and he is where he is right now. Could you maybe highlight some of the ups and downs and some of the perseverance that he's been able to show throughout the season? Yeah,
well, you come in as highly touted as he, and the expectations, those are hard for a young person to have to handle coming in here, and the fact that he did what he wanted to do and did what he needed to do in track, so he didn't get here until June. And tried to get him up to speed, but our summer was short, our fall camp was shorter, then he got banged up and missed most of that fall camp. I just appreciate him staying the course. He was down on scout team for the first few weeks of the season as he came back, because that was what we needed him to be, and he wasn't ready to play with the older guys. And rather than complaining about it, he just stayed the course and continued to meet with coaches and get more comfortable with what we're doing. And we also had to figure out what he was as a player. That's the thing that you don't know, and we didn't get a great chance because of the injuries in fall camp to find out what he is. He's a really physical player, and it's been fun to watch not only that physicality, but him getting confidence in playing physical. He did some really good things on Saturday, blocking on the perimeter that his player wasn't getting to the ball, and that's been fun to see as we continue to transition him ultimately into being a full-time tight end. Right now he's going to be on the perimeter for us a little bit more, because that's a skill set that he has. But the sky's the limit for him still. I mean, I'm so impressed with a true freshman coming into Power 4 football from small school and having the impact that he's had, and we still have time this season to have more of an impact.
Looking back, I'm just going to ask, Oklahoma State, this is the third time in 27 years K-State's beaten Oklahoma State in Stillwater. Special win. Was it special for you? Did you feel a specialness to it?
Yeah, a couple things on that. That's a really good point. Good question, D. Scott. It was special for me and a number of our staff members, because I remember 2019 we went to Mississippi State, and not many people thought we were going to compete with Mississippi State because they had drilled us the year before, and we went and beat those guys in a really good football game. Lo and behold, we get to open up the conference in Stillwater, and we're 3-0, thinking we're pretty good, and they got after us. The score may not have indicated it, but they got after us. And then in 21, kind of coming back off that COVID year, I thought we had a good football team, and went there and they got after us again. Score didn't indicate it, but they did. And then we beat them handily in 22. 23, we go back down there, and same thing. It's just a tough place for us to play. And then 24, we get them here. I think the biggest thing for me going to Stillwater was not seeing Mike. That was the biggest thing for me, is looking on the sideline and looking around and going up and having a conversation with Gundy and not seeing him. I mean, that was surreal. I'll be honest with you. That was surreal. And I've only been here for 7 years. Some of you guys have been here a long time, and you see him every year, and he's not there. And so I still think that environment, that impact for our players. You look at stuff and TP and Swanee and Liney and guys that have been here for a long time. That win meant the world to those kids as it did myself.
Chris, you guys haven't been a big underdog in a few years, but your first couple of years here, you pulled off some upsets when the point spread was tilted the other way. Talk to me about coaching as an underdog and getting the players to feed into that mentality.
Yeah, I assume we are, but I don't really know spreads and stuff like that. I know we're going into a top 15 environment, top 10 environment in college football and top 10 team. So what an opportunity for our guys to have a chance at a big time marquee win, so to speak, for this 2025 team. And we've had some good wins, but sometimes it's easier to play that way. You go to KU, and this is the year we're supposed to lose to them, and it's 16 straight, and that's a lot of pressure. I thought there was as much pressure or more pressure going to Oklahoma State, and I think our kids played a little bit of that way of we can't lose rather than, man, let's go out and try to win. Let's go out and play really good football and try to win. And so I think that's the messaging. We haven't seen the guys yet. They were in good spirits in the weight room. That the messaging is going to be let's cut it loose. Let's go have fun in a really good environment. And it's the last road trip for this crew for the regular season.
When you look back at the Oklahoma State game, was it just offensively getting beat up front? Just what were your reviews?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Getting beat up front, some mis-ID on some things. They have a player that spills the play, and we don't track it as an O-lineman and get around. We stay inside the spill, so one guy gets two, and then there's somebody unblocked at the point of attack. I mean, little things like that, as well as because we can't drop the football. We drop passes where it's 2nd and 2. Nope, we're back to 2nd and 10. We can't do that. We can't miss a block on the perimeter when it is 1st and 10 that would get us to 2nd and 3 or 4, and we miss the block and it's 2nd and 12. It's little things that you can't do on the road, and you can't do when you're a team like us that somewhat has to methodically move the football. And Jace made some explosive plays, but at halftime we knew he wasn't coming back. And so I was impressed with the drive we made, 10 plays, 70 yards that goes into the fourth quarter. But those are the plays we have to make. You can't miss on a 4th and 5, and we didn't. We got the completion to Oak, and they brought everybody, and it was a great throw and catch. And then the 4th and 2 or 4th and 1 where we ran Joe. I mean, the guys did their assignment and blocked. We got to do that on 1st down, not just on 4th down.
I've heard you reference a couple times just the April cuts that you guys had
Yep.
to do. Just how would that just the change in that and how that would have helped the season?
Well, we'd have had 20-some guys practicing that aren't practicing unless all those guys would have gotten hurt. And right now we're down to about 11 guys on defense when we separate on scouts. That's not Power 4 football. That's really bad. That's a small town high school. When we have 11 guys, that's all the players that we have to go on play on scout team defense. And Sawyer Schilke's playing defensive end because we don't have enough defensive linemen. On offense, you don't rotate an offensive lineman. You got 5 there. Those 5 kids take every snap. Well, this week we have to go against 6 lineman sets, so we can't even do that. Holden Bass has probably got to be the 6 lineman, or Uso does, or Dame does. And that's because we had to cut our roster down because of the house settlement. Other schools probably had to do it as well. But then when we had that, as well as the amount of injuries we had, it just makes it more challenging to practice because you can't be out there forever because you just don't have enough numbers to do it. And, right now, Jet Deneen and Mikey Bergeron split time at tailback on scout team. They're safeties. And they're special teams guys that need to work on block destruction and tackling. We can't even send those guys down there to be scout team defensive players because they got to play running back. Those are things that frustrate me in this profession because that's not what the house settlement in my mind was about. I understand the money factor of it, but we took away opportunities from kids that wanted to get an ag degree and run out of the tunnel. And that was a bad, bad deal, and we're not going to end up resetting that thing, but it's something that we as coaches have to fight for so that we can get 15 more guys on everybody's roster because it's a challenge right now when you're dealing with 105 sixer specialists, and then you lose a bunch of guys to injury or guys leave the program, and you're down to into the 60s practicing every day, and that's hard to do in a Power 4 program.
Last year when Utah struggled, it was mainly quarterback play.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have 2 guys that are quite unique in their skills. Can you describe what they both bring to the table?
You know, I've seen both kids throw live in high school. Tui and I went down to Dampier live down in Arizona, and really terrific football player. And ended up going to New Mexico, having a really good career. And then he and the coordinator went to Utah. He's got the experience factor for sure. And I think he has made them instantly a lot better because of experience and knowing that offense and being able to run the football. He runs the football. He throws it really well. And then the freshman, we went and saw throw, Wellesley and I did at Muskogee, and that kid's a really special talent and threw the ball well, could run it well, and they're using both guys. And I don't know if they're using both guys because of Dampier's health or the young kid, just his ability to run the football. But they're putting running backs back there. They're putting wide receivers back there. They're putting everybody at that spot in the quarterback game because of their ability to rush the football. They're really good up front, and so they make it challenging on the amount of formations that they give you and the amount of kids that they probably lead the country and different kids that have touched the football. They got a bunch of them, and they're all pretty talented.
It's interesting, and that leads me to the next question, and that is, have you seen another team at any level play so many kids, maybe a couple of 2 or 3 snaps on offense, but they're starters on defense?
Yeah, exactly right. You do see that in crossover film of, boy, that kid's really talented. Oh, he's the one that defended that pass too, and they made a big catch on it. Yeah, they do really well, and they put their kids in the best position. And I think even though they seem complex in what they do, I think they're pretty simple in what they do, so that guys have the ability maybe to help on both sides. And obviously, Kyle's one of the icons in our game and one of the best coaches in the country. And I know that they struggled last season. They weren't going to struggle 2 years in a row, not with that coach and that tradition of what Utah football is. And so they're rolling right now.
I know they're rock solid everywhere, but can you comment about their secondary? It just seems to be
Yeah.
You don't see much weakness there.
No, you don't. And they're in attack mode. I think that's the thing, that they're not going to play passive soft coverage and say, we'll let you catch a 5-yard hitch and we'll swarm and tackle him. You're going to work your tail off to catch that hitch and that slant and that under, because they're going to grab you and do a good job of being physical and do it legally. I mean, they're not PIing, they're physical on guys and doing a heck of a job. And so that's a challenge for us, is we've got to be as physical with our pass catchers of getting off of press.
I was wondering, with your running back rotation, about just what goes into deciding who goes in where, with who ran the ball last week compared to maybe not having Devon Rice.
Practice, practice and who practices the best for BA. We've got a lot of different skill sets back there. We've had some injuries there, not long-term injuries, but miss a week, miss 2 weeks. J.B. Price had missed a few weeks. We're hoping he's back healthy, and he was able to return kickoffs. Joe's been in and out of it. It's just kind of all hands on deck there, and it's going to continue to be that way throughout the season.
A thought on Austin Romaine about his future. I know you had to get something done for him.
Yep.
But are you waiting until the end of the year to have a?
No, I'm confident that he'll be back at K-State. We've had some conversations, but you try to save a lot of those for the end of the season. Whether it's him to Jace Brown to DJ Giddens last year to Jacob Parrish last year. Let them enjoy their college experience. And I know when they get hurt like that, you want to speed that answer up sometimes. But we got enough things to worry about right now trying to get ready for Utah.
You mentioned both quarterbacks dynamic with their legs. How important is it? More important to have rush lane integrity when you're playing a couple of guys who can really move?
Yeah, and you got to be able to get off blocks, and you make all 11 players be a factor in it. That's the thing. You can't play a bunch of big soft zone stuff and you can't play a ton of just pure man, because if they run everybody off, you got one catch guy, and that's it to make that tackle. And I was with defense a little bit, but Coach Klieman's coming up with some good plans, and I think everybody's confident to know that Joe's going to come up with really good plans. And now we just got to get it to our kids to be able to execute it over the next 4 days. And now you're back into the 1 week preparations. We have a bye, and then we don't have a bye. I mean, it's just now we're back into 1 week preparations. And so, this week I think creeps up on you fast. Like, oh shoot, last week we'd had a lot of this stuff in. Now it's who's going to practice today? Who's going to, we've got some guys walking around in boots that I know are going to play, but they're probably not practicing the next couple of days. And so how do we get those? We do a lot of walkthroughs right now, guys. You have to, and Nate's helped us with that. Nate Katzer has with the NFL stuff of how many bodies that they typically get down to. You got to be really precise with your walkthroughs, and you got to do a really good job of replicating it almost like it should look full speed with our knee bend and stuff, so that we can see our fits.